Hey guys, in this video we're looking at GCSE English Literature, looking at Macbeth and focusing on the key theme of ambition. So, ambition is known as a tragic flaw, also known as hamartia, that drives the play. Shakespeare presents it as an intoxicating drug. It begins as a small temptation, grows into a desperate need, and ends in total moral and physical destruction. While the witches provide the spark, the play argues that ambition is an internal choice. It is a force that subverts nature, destroys itself, and ultimately leads to nothing. This theme shows that power gained without morality is impossible to sustain. A quick summary then. So, the seed. This is where the witch's prophecy awakens a black and deep desire that already existed in Macbeth. The spur. Lady Macbeth uses Macbeth's ambition and his masculinity to push him past his moral hesitations. The climax. Once he reaches the throne, ambition turns into paranoia. He must kill more to stay safe. The collapse. By the end, ambition has stripped Macbeth of his humanity, leaving him in a nihilistic void. Key quote 1. I have no spur to prick the sides of my intent, but only vaulting ambition, which overleaps itself and falls on the other. This is Macbeth's famous horse riding metaphor for his own desire. It's a metaphor because ambition is like a rider who tries to jump too high and ends up falling off the other side of the horse. It shows self-awareness, as Macbeth admits he has no just cause, spur, to kill Duncan. A grade 9 analysis is that Shakespeare uses the adjective vaulting to suggest an ambition that is out of control. The imagery of falling on the other is a direct foreshadowing of his eventual downfall. This shows that Macbeth is not a victim of fate. He is a man who recognizes his own hubris but chooses to jump anyway. The big idea is the self-destructive nature of ambition. Key quote 2 is art, not without ambition, but without the illness that should attend it. This is Lady Macbeth's assessment of her husband's character. The illness, so she views ruthlessness and cruelty as a necessary sickness to achieve greatness. Manipulation, she believes ambition is useless if it is tempered by the milk of human kindness. In terms of grade analysis, by linking ambition to illness, Shakespeare presents it as a contagion. It suggests that to be successful in a corrupt world, one must be morally diseased. This subverts the idea of the great chain of being, implying that to climb higher than God intended, you must become something less than human. The big idea is that ambition is a moral infection. Key quote 3 is, to be thus is nothing but to be safely thus. This is Macbeth's realization that the crown hasn't brought him peace. Thus is being king, and nothing is the existential realization that power is empty without security. A grade 9 analysis is that this quote captures the paradox of ambition. The closer Macbeth gets to his goal, the further away he can feel from satisfaction. Shakespeare uses this to illustrate that ambition is a bottomless pit, as it requires a cycle of violence, killing Banquo, then Macduff's family, that eventually consumes the person who started it. The big idea is the perpetual hunger of the tyrant. Key quote 4 is, against nature still, thriftless ambition that wilt raven up, thine own life means. Ross and later others reflecting on the unnaturalness of the murder is this quote. So a grade analysis is that the verb raven up suggests a predatory animal eating its own source of life. Shakespeare is arguing that ambition is cannibalistic. By killing the king, who's the father of the country, Macbeth has eaten his own future. This reflects Jacobean belief that an attack on the monarch is an attack on the very fabric of reality. The big idea is that ambition as an unnatural act. The context link is a gunpowder plot. So in 1605, Guy Fawkes tried to blow up Parliament and King James I. This was the ultimate vaulting ambition. Shakespeare wrote Macbeth partly as a warning to anyone else thinking of committing regicide. Even if you succeed in getting the crown, your own mind and the natural order will destroy you. Ambition across the characters then. So we've got the character on the left-hand side, type of ambition, and the result. So Macbeth was reluctant but eventually nihilistic, and his result was a total loss of soul and life. Lady Macbeth had proxy ambition, which meant power through her husband, and her result was mental collapse and suicide. Banquo had restrained ambition as he hopes for his sons, but he doesn't act. Here he was murdered, but his legacy still survived at the end. Malcolm has rightful ambition as he had a duty to the state, and his result was the restoration of peace and the crown. A grade 9 interpretation. So at a higher level, Shakespeare uses ambition to explore the illusion of agency. Macbeth believes ambition makes him powerful, but in reality it makes him a slave to the witch's prophecies and his own fear. The play suggests that fair ambition is service to others, while foul ambition is service to the self. By the end, Macbeth's ambition has shrunk his world down to a single room in a besieged castle, proving that the more he grabbed for everything, the more he ended up with nothing. Exam style paragraph. How does Shakespeare present the theme of ambition in Macbeth? So we've got Shakespeare presents ambition as a corrosive and fundamentally self-destructive force. While initially sparked by the supernatural, Macbeth's vaulting ambition is presented as an internal choice that overleaps the self, suggesting that excessive desire inevitably leads to a loss of balance and subsequent downfall. Furthermore, through Lady Macbeth's description of ambition as an illness, Shakespeare implies that political craving requires a rejection of natural human morality. This is reinforced in Act 3, when Macbeth realizes that to be thus is nothing, illustrating that the fruit of ambition is not peace, but a nihilistic cycle of paranoia. Ultimately, Shakespeare uses the tragic trajectory of Macbeth but to argue that ambition, which subverts the divine right of the kings, is an act of spiritual suicide that leaves the individual in a state of existential emptiness.